Yeah. Yeah. Morning all. So before I start, can anyone please confirm whether my voice is clear, whether the screen is visible or not?
Yeah, it's clear.
And thank you. So myself, I'm Vijay. I hold 17 years of experience, which includes experience in nearly like 8 to 9 years of experience in Python environment. So my experience includes design, development, and implementation of Python and Django based applications. So well versed in implementing different Python libraries like NumPy, CP, Pandas, PyTables, Matplotlib, URLlib, right? Experience in implementing large-scale business critical systems using object-oriented design and programming concepts using Python and Django, and developing variety of web applications implementing MVT architecture using server-side applications, right? Yes. So as part of today's demo, just I'm going to cover the following topics. Why Python? So already we have got many programming languages, right? Why again Python required? So Python is not a kind of technology which is very recently introduced. So it was introduced like 30 years ago, right? In 1989. Why again Python has got great boom, especially from the last, if you see like last 3 4 years, the usage of Python has increased a lot. Reasons which makes Python suddenly super popular. And who can learn Python, right? What are the prerequisites for learning Python? There is no prerequisites, right? That you need to have a particular programming language like C or Java. No, there is no prerequisites. Anybody can update, right? Even with zero programming or non-programming, you can also update with Python, right? And how Python was built and how Python was derived, right? What are the features it has taken from? And Python real-time applications, what kind of applications we can develop today by using Python? Python usage, who are using Python today, which companies are using Python, and top most applications built by using Python. Python features and Python comparison with other programming. Coding wise you can check, complexity wise you can check, lengthwise you can check, right? How these Python statements look as compared with other programming languages, and reasons why Python is suddenly super popular, and the Python scope and job market. What is the scope of Python in the coming years, and also the job market currently, right? Fine. So these are the things I'll be discussing in today and tomorrow session, right? In the today, the demo goes for today and tomorrow. Fine. Okay. Why Python? So I'll be giving time for you at the end of the session for your general queries, right? So why Python? I define Python in 5 lines. Python is a general purpose programming language. General purpose programming. Yes. Multi programming features are included, right? Multi programming language, high level language, interpretation language, and user friendly programming or programmer friendly programming language, I can say, right? Fine. Just we'll discuss one by one in brief. What is this things, right? General purpose programming. So before Python, there were some languages like if you heard about these languages like Pascal, Fortran, COBOL. So these languages, if you talk like Pascal, Fortran, COBOL, right? Pascal, these languages used for a specific purposes. They are purpose-based languages. They are for a specific purposes, right? Pascal for developing scientific applications, Fortran for developing complicated mathematical applications, and COBOL used for business applications. Right? So these are used for specific purposes. Right? These are purpose-based and COBOL for business applications, I said, right? These are purpose-based languages used for a specific purposes, for not all the purposes, right? Not for all the purposes, right? But a language which is suitable for developing any kind of applications, any type of application. Such a language we call it as general purpose programming language, right? Python is such a kind of programming where we can develop any kind of application like automation applications, web applications, animation applications, gaming applications, embedded applications, the networking applications, and desktop applications. In this way, wide varieties of applications we can develop by using Python. It's not purpose based, it's a general purpose programming used for developing any kind of applications, right? Today, like Python mostly used in developing, means in developing applications, in implementing domains in various higher technologies, right? So if you talk like today, like Python, if you see in various high-end technologies, it used as an implementation language, like data science with Python, big data with Python, like Spark with Python, PySpark with, right? And writing scripts, automation scripts using like in AWS DevOps, and writing scripts in IoT, in robotics, right? And web applications development using Python. So it's a general purpose programming, wide varieties of applications for Python. Multi-programming, it's a multi-programming, right? I'll give a label example before I say what multi-programming. For example, if you want to launch a new product in the market, right? If you want to launch a product like a mobile phone, a new mobile phone into this market, right? To attract the customers, what features you want to see within it, right? The features what we see in different other mobiles, all those features, if you are embedding into a single piece, right? And releasing, it is going to attract the customers, right? In the same way, Python is such a kind of programming where we see the features of various other programming languages within it. Multi-programming features, we say, hybrid features, we say. Because of these multi-programming features, we call Python as a hybrid language, right? Okay, what features we see, I'll just brief you, right? Like it has got the features of object oriented, procedural oriented, scripting features, modular programming features. Because of this multi-programming features, we call Python as a hybrid language, right? High level language. Python is a high level language, means there are two types of languages, I can say. Two types of languages: low level language and high level languages, right? Low level languages and high level languages. Low level languages like assembly level language or machine level language. Assembly level language or machine level language, right? These languages, these are mainly, they are not human understandable. They're not human understandable. And secondly, they are not portable. And machine dependent. Machine dependent means they cannot run on all the hardware and all the operating systems. They are machine dependent. They cannot run on all the hardware and all the operating system, right? And high level languages, right? High level languages. Python is a high level language, right? So it's easily understandable, that is human understandable, supportable, and machine independent. Human understandable means it's the statements of Python looks like normal English statements. They are not as complex as other programming language, and portable and machine independent. They can run on all the hardwares and all the operating systems. And Python is a interpretation language, interpretation language, right? Line by line execution we are going to see for Python. Okay. Interpretation and compilation, there are two types of it. We have got two types, right? Yes. If you talk like we have got a compilation languages and interpretation languages. Compilation language like the C language is a compilation. Okay. If you talk about compilation, for example, if you got some lines of code, if you have got some 10 lines of code, right? It executes all the 10 lines at a time, executing all the statements at a time, right? And displays the errors. If you got any errors, right? It displays the errors. C language, right? It displays the errors. If you got like 10 errors or 20 errors, right? Yes. For example, for 10 errors you got, it executes the entire code at once and displays the errors. Python, right? If you got some 10 lines of code, it won't execute all the 10 statements at a time. Interpretation, line by line execution, line by line it executes, line by line. For example, if you got error in this third line, it won't execute the remaining statements. Abnormal termination, we say. Termination of the program in the middle of the execution without executing up to the last statement. Abnormal termination in the sense, okay. Fine. Mm. So here interpretation, right? Line by line execution and compilations means entire code at once will be executed, right? Python is interpretation, line by line execution, which makes debugging easier, right? And Python is a cross-platform language. It's a cross-platform language, right? It is a cross-platform language, right? Where Python can run on any platform like Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. It's a cross-platform language where it can run on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS, right? And so it's a user-friendly programming. It's a user-friendly programming language, right? Which provides simple syntaxes, which looks like normal English statements, right? It's a user-friendly programming which provides simple syntaxes which looks like normal English statements. The statements of Python looks like normal English statements, right? Okay. And Python was developed in the year 1989. The personality who developed Python, Guido van Rossum, is the personality who developed or who introduced Python. Okay, in the year 1989, right? Yes. Okay. So just observe, Python has got multi-programming features, right? Just one by one, we see the features. Python has got features, right? Multi-programming features Python has. First, procedural oriented programming features, right? Procedural oriented programming. It has got the features of procedural oriented programming, like example, like C language. And it has got the features of object oriented programming like C++ or Java. Python has got the features of object oriented programming. Object oriented programming, right? Example like C++, Java. And it has got the features of scripting languages. It has got the Python has got the features of scripting languages, right? Like example, Linux shell script. Example like shell script, we can say, right? It has got the features of modular programming like modular 3. So because of this multi-programming features, we call Python as a hybrid. Yes, yes. So these things we'll be discussing as part of our course, right? Total in our course we'll be discussing. So there are some technical words. If anybody from non-programming background, right? So not a problem. So I'll be, as part of our course, we'll be discussing all this, right? I'll be discussing what is procedural oriented programming, like C language, object oriented. We'll be discussing procedural oriented programming features, object oriented programming features like C++, Java, scripting languages like shell script, and modular programming features like modular 3, right? So all this we'll be discussing as part of the course. Means from multiple programming languages, Python has taken the features like C language, like Java, like shell script, modular 3. It has got the features. All these features we'll be seeing as part of our course. That's the reason Python has got hybrid features. That's why we call Python as a hybrid language, right? If you see like a programming language like Java, right? If you see the programming language like Java, the Java programmers or developers are restricted to use only object-oriented programming features. They can go with only object-oriented programming features. But Python with object-oriented, without object-oriented, with procedural-oriented, with modular programming, like we can develop many varieties of applications, right? So do not worry. So we'll be discussing all these syntaxes and features from the scratch ground level to the advanced level in our course. So this I'm, as of now, just I'm not going to discuss these technical terms and brief you about these things as of now. So just I'm saying like Python has got these many multi-programming language features. Fine. If I talk like if you talk about the current software field, right? Two major programming languages like Java and Python mostly used, right, for creating applications. So if you talk like if you go back like 10 years ago, right, 2010, we see like comparing the Java and Python. Java was nearly 43% used in the industry, like in 2010, like if you go back like 10 to 12 years back. Python, like most of them are not aware that there is a programming language like Python. Only 3% used in 2010, right? So if you go back like after 10 years later, like 2020, so like the usage of Java, if you see like Java usage has decreased, right, to like 19%. And whereas the Python usage has increased to 31%, right? In the coming years, you see a lot more increase of Python, right? 31% used in the industry. I'll just show you some graphs at the end of the session to show you that the usage of Python in the industry and the usage of other programming languages in the industry, right? The usage of Python and the usage of other programming languages. What is the percentage in the Python is the #1 ranked programming language currently in the industry. I'll just show you some graphs, right? By opening Google. Okay, fine. And And you need to understand, right? Okay, what kind of applications you can develop today by using Python, right? Python real-time applications. You need to know before you update with any technology, you need to know what kind of applications are getting developed, right? Python real-time applications. By real-time applications, right? What kind of applications are getting developed using Python? So one by one, I will be briefing you in. Okay. So Python today, Python mostly used in creation of web applications. Lot of web applications are getting developed today by using Python. Lot of web applications, right? And we have got Python is providing frameworks like the Django framework. Not only the Django, it has got many frameworks like Flask, Pyramid, Bottle, TurboGate. The Django is the most famous framework for web applications creations. You may get a query, right? Why Python? We have got Java, .NET, all this. They are used from last 20-25 years for developing applications. Why now Python? Python advantage is at a rapid speed, you can develop a web application, right? It has got its own database like SQL 83. It's got its own application server. So at rapid speed, you can develop application, everything taken care by framework, the Django framework. We don't need to write huge, many flexible options provided by the Django, right? So it is user friendly, programmer friendly, right? So at a rapid speed, we can develop web applications, right? And mostly like Python used today for automation applications. It's mostly used for automation applications, right? Automation applications using technologies like technologies like data science, right? Using technologies like data science, using and technologies like IoT, and using technologies like for AWS or DevOps, right? So using this, lot of automation applications are getting created today, right? So even Python mostly used in this automation applications creations. If I talk about IoT, right, a lot of applications going to get developed using this IoT. So if you see like today, see IoT, Internet of Things, everything through online, right? Everything through online today, everything through internet, right? Online banking, online shopping, online exams, online education, e-learning, online banking, online business, e-commerce, online communication like audio, video chatting, online games, online healthcare, right? So if you see like 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G, right? Like if we start from 1G like analog communications, 2G like digital communications, 3G like multimedia communications, 4G like wireless communications, right? In this way, generations to generation, right? So IoT, it is a physical network or device embedded with electronics, softwares, and sensors and network connectivity for collecting data, exchanging data, and controlling the things from the place where you are, right? You are going to see many applications in the coming days, right? Everything getting automated, right? So like electronic devices connecting and communicating with each other, right? So here totally the coding goes in Python. The coding in Python, right? Yes. So not only in IoT, right? Even if we talk about data science, total implementation in Python, right? So data, everything deals with the data. Data has got experience. Data has got future reference using data or data science, right? You perform like data analysis, data predictions, data classifications, data clustering, data recommendations. So it's a blend of technique, like data science is a blend of technique, I can say. The main technique, what we see in data science, the main technique, what we see in data science, like machine learning, the main technique, what we see in data science, machine learning, right? It is an approach. Machine learning is an approach, right? Where we provide some patterns to an application or a system. Based on that patterns provided, making the application to predict in the automated fashion, right? So here that is not without entering into the technicals of this ML machine learning or data science. So here we have got many machine learning techniques available, ML techniques, regression techniques, classification techniques, clustering techniques, recommendation techniques, pattern matching techniques, right? Recommender techniques, right? For all these techniques, machine learning techniques to implement, we require a language. For implementing all these techniques, we require a language. So Python is mostly chosen or mostly used programming for implementing this machine learning or deep learning algorithms, right? So where Python is providing many modules for like models like NumPy model, Pandas, Matplotlib. So if you come back here, right here, Python has got a great boom. So here I said it has taken procedural-oriented programming like C, object-oriented, like scripting features like a shell script. We can write many scripts today, automation scripts in, if you talk like in IoT, in AWS, DevOps, in robotics, right? Many automation scripts. And this modular programming, Python has got great features, right? It has got a concept of modules. Here we have got a modules concept, right? Nearly thousands of models Python is providing, like 89,300 inbuilt modules Python is providing for the various domains, right? Python is providing models for the various domains. So whatever domain you are from, right? Python has got a module. If you're from data science background, right? Python has got separate models for data science environment. If you're from big data background, right? Python is providing models for this big data like pandas models. And if you're from networking side or from testing side, right? So for networking, separate module, not only separate module for networking, Python is providing a separate framework like twisted Python for networking applications, for network programming, right? If anybody, and for testing or test cases, Python has got separate models. And for operating system kinds of, for operating system OS, right? That's got for OS kind of activities. The name of the module itself is OS, using which we can perform various OS related activities. And if you're from database background, right? If you're from database background like Oracle, for every database, Python is providing a module for every database. Like for Oracle, like CX underscore Oracle is the model using which Python can connect with the database and perform all the database related operations. And for MySQL, right, Python has got a module called PyMySQL or MySQL.connector, using which Python can connect with the database and perform all this SQL kind of operations or queries. And even for SQL Server, for every database, it provides a module using which we can connect. It's not as complex as other programming to connect with the database. Within just 2 minutes of discussion is enough, right? So for SQL Server, we got PyODBC. And even if you want to work with different files like Excel files, I can create the Excel workbook or Excel file by writing Python statements and executing Python statements. Go and check, right, with whatever location you have provided, with whatever file name you are given, with that a workbook gets created. I can add multiple sheets, Excel sheets into it. Sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. I can create by writing Python statements itself. I want to insert data into sheet 2 only. I need to read data from sheet 3. Everything we can write by performing, by writing Python statements and executing them. We are going to see. And not only Excel files, comma separated CSV files, and for XML files, JSON files. We can create PDF files by writing Python statements and executing, right? We get like PDF files can be generated. We can read data from PDF. We can write data into PDF, right? And similarly for XML, right? The name of the modules, like CSV is the name of the module itself, right? Using which we can read and write. And for Excel, we have got modules like Excel SX Writer, Excel Audi module, using which we can create Excel files and read data and write data into it. And for PDF also we have got modules by creating by writing Python statements and executing the PDF files getting generated. We can reading data from it and write data to it. Any types of file formats. And coming to this, any kind of mathematical operations, we have got math model. The name of the model itself is math, and mathematical operations to perform. And for any statistical operations, for statistics, we have got many models. Python is available, and even for generating graphs or reports. Right? Yes. So Python has got models, and any type of graph you can generate today by using writing Python statements like normal graph, bar graph, histogram, scatter plots, stack plots, pie graphs, any type of graph just by writing very small statements in Python, right? In this way, not only for computer side, even for other, like we talk like for electronic side, for civil applications, right? Python is providing models, right? In this way, how many models? 89,300 modules. It doesn't mean that you need to have the idea about all these thousands of modules. Depending upon your domain knowledge, what domain you are from. If you're from big data, only big data related models you'll be exploring. For data science related models you'll be exploring. For networking, you're from networking background, right? For only networking related models. So for that, you need to have the knowledge on modules, how to use them, how to import them, various ways of importing, normal import, from import, renaming a model, reusing a model, right? And reloading a model, and how to create our own models if they are not available, right? In this way, we will be seeing all those as part of our course. Models, modular programming also important property of Python. Because of this modular programming only, Python has got great boom today because of this thousands of models Python is providing, right? Yes. And coming back to this applications, right? Real-time applications. So in web applications creations, Python mostly used. In automation applications like in data science environment. So where this for machine learning. So for all these techniques, machine learning techniques, for regression, classifications, clustering, recommendations, pattern matching techniques. For implementing those, we require a language, right? Python is mostly used or mostly chosen. And in IoT and in AWS or DevOps also, right? Not only in Python serves as a remedy to any problem in the IT industry. When it comes to AWS or DevOps, is to reduce the time taken in DevOps lifecycle to improve for improving the efficiency, right? So Python offers a structural solution in terms of automating the tasks in the lifecycle, DevOps lifecycle, like in requirement gathering, system design, system implementation, system testing, in the system deployment and maintenance, right? So Python is one of the best scripting languages with vast variety of Python libraries it has got for writing scripts. And apart from this, where Python can be used is like in big data environment, right? In big data environment. So if you talk like just, I'll take a minute to explain like where exactly Python used in big data environment, right? So if you see like the data currently stored in form of the data storage units like KBs of data, MBs of data, GBs, terabytes, petabytes, exabytes, zettabytes, etabytes, sotabytes, right? Yes, so on. So from TV onwards, we say like it's huge data. You should have seen like KBs, MBs, or GBs, or even TBs of data. But do you think like petabytes or exabytes of data is it getting generated in the current real world? 1 petabyte equal to 1024 TBs. Already 1 TB is a large storage unit. 1024 TBs forms 1 petabyte. So do you think like petabytes, exabytes, is it getting generated? Means yes. If you talk like social media like Facebook, right? It has got millions and trillions of users, right? So how many posts and videos are getting circulated in a minute? Each and every post and video need to be stored, right? What should be the storage capacity? What is the data generated by Facebook in a minute? Not in MBs or GBs, right? Like petabytes of data generation. Not only Facebook, right? Today, if we talk about any application, it's generating huge data, right? If you take only 1 minute transaction itself, like huge data is getting generated, right? If I talk like Facebook, what is the data generated by Facebook in a minute? If I talk like Twitter, keeps on generating, keeps on, right? And if you talk like Google queries, what is the data generated by Google in a minute? Huge data, right? And today, like everyone creating your own videos and uploading in the YouTube, right? YouTube videos upload, what should be the storage capacity for storing all those videos? And millions and trillions of users using email messaging, what should be the storage capacity for storing all these messages, right? And like bank transactions. So if you talk like if you take a particular city, right? If you take like bank like SBI, there's got like hundreds of branches within a city, within the state thousands of branches, within the country lakhs of branches. Each branch again we got millions of customers, each customer making multiple transactions per day, per hour, per week, per month, and per year. Each and every transaction need to be stored, right? Huge data getting generated. Similarly for telecom transactions, even for e-commerce sites like Amazon, Flipkart, for all this huge data getting generated everywhere, right? No. So every application generating huge data. For example, Google generating more than 800 petabytes per month on an average. Means 800 into 1024 TVs. The data generated averagely, right? Google, right? So we have got some big data tools available for this, like Hadoop, Spark, right? Where this Hadoop Spark for implementing, we have got languages like Scala, languages like Python, right? Mostly like Spark with Scala, Spark with Python. Spark with Python mostly used. Spark is a very high speed technology, right? For processing huge data in quick time, mostly used in the industry, right? Implemented using Python, like PySpark, we say Spark with Python, PySpark. So even in big data environment, Python is used, right? Apart from this, so I'll just list out one by one applications where Python is mostly used, like in scientific applications, and for numerical analysis, Python is preferred. So even NASA using Python for its research and development activities because of Python multi-programming features, hybrid features, right? And for GUI, graphical user interface or animation applications, Python, like we have got TK intermodule, PyQt is available, right? Okay. And today, like Python mostly used in game development, developing games, right? Lot of games are getting developed using Python, single user, multi-user online games, especially for game development, right? Python has got a separate framework Python is providing for game development, like Pygame. There is a framework called Pygame where Python is providing a framework especially for gaming applications. Not only Pygame, we have got frameworks like PyCora, Python is providing for this gaming side, and we have got some 3D rendering libraries like PySoy, right? And Python also used for this testing or test cases, and also for scheduling tasks. We have got Airflow for it, and for Python mostly used today for even software development. software development, right? Even like software developers make use of Python as a support language. We have got like Buildbot, Apache Gump for automated compilation and testing, and Roundup Track for project management and backtracking. And if you talk like for business applications, Python is used. Business applications, right? We have got Python is one of the greatest choice to develop e-commerce websites. And the hottest application of Python, right? Database application. Without a database, there is no web application, right? Database application. Can Python can connect with any database like MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL for all this, right? Yes. And even for Python, mostly used within this networking side, right? Network programming for networking applications. Python has got separate framework. Python is providing called Twisted Python. Twisted Python is a framework given by Python, especially for networking applications for networking side, right? Yes. And apart from this, Python mostly see here I said like big data side in scientific applications, GUI animations, right? And even Python used for web scraping. For web scraping, right? Scraping data from different websites, harvesting data, or extracting data, scraping data from different websites. We have got models like URL, beautiful soup for this. And apart from this, Python is used not only in computer applications, in electronics, and in civil applications, even like Python used within this embedded applications, right? Embedded applications. So the most famous embedded application like Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is the most famous embedded application which uses Python scripting, right? Yes. And for CAD, computer aided designing, CAD applications or 3D CAD applications, right? So Python is, and for data and for audio and video applications today, like for audio and video applications, Python is mostly preferred, right? For audio and video applications. So some of the audio and video applications, right? Some of that examples of audio and video applications developed using Python, right? Like Team Player is one, C Play examples, right? And for data analysis, right? And for computer vision, right? For computer vision, for color detection, object detection, face detections, right? Python used. And in robotics, right? And for desktop applications creations, for single user console applications, right? And for generating graphs or reports, Python is the only programming by writing statements generating graphs, the different types of graphs, normal graphs, bar graphs, histograms, scatter plots, stack plots. Just I'll take 5 more minutes. So who are using Python? So these are the applications, right? So mostly used in creation of web applications, automation applications, big data applications, gaming applications, testing, scheduling, in database applications, networking applications, embedded applications, CAD applications, in case of desktop applications, right? And who are using Python today? The companies using Python, and topmost applications, right? Built by using Python. Topmost applications built by using Python, right? Yes. So what are the various applications built using Python? So like today, if you see like Google using Python for its web search system. YouTube is using Python for its video sharing service. Yahoo using Python. Uber pricing algorithm implemented using Python. Instagram, right? Instagram built using Python, right? NASA using Python for its research and development activities. There are some applications like Pinterest, Quora, Reddit, Pinterest, Quora, Reddit, Netflix using Python for its security, automation, and for subscription purpose, right? BitTorrent using Python for its file sharing service. Maya, a powerful 3D animation which uses Python scripting, right? MMOG, massively multiplayer online games which uses Python, right? Multiplayer online games. And Iron Port email server, right? Iron Port email server. Iron Port email server which uses 1 million lines of Python code for doing its job. iRobot for military and commercial. iRobot, right? For military and commercial purposes, right? Python is preferred there. And for hardware testing, companies like IBM, Seagate, Qualcomm, all this they use Python for hardware testing. Okay, these are some of the examples that companies using Python. So Google is one of the best example for that Python web applications, right? First, the Google's web crawling was first written in Java. Later, it was too difficult. It was rewritten in Python. Netflix, right? It's a classic example of a company choosing Python programming. So Netflix, most of these libraries, like it is using libraries like Python libraries, like CP, NumPy to execute numerical analysis for security automation and for subscription, right? Even like I forgot to say, like Dropbox. Dropbox using Python. So home for all your documents, files, photos, and videos. Dropbox written in Python. And if you talk like Reddit, it's a collection of social news. And Instagram, right? The prime reason for Instagram to opt for Python, right? It's efficiency and its practicality, right? So in this way, the various applications, in this way, many other, only the some applications I showed you, but many applications are got developed by using Python and the Django, right? Fine. So just, and from the discussion, what we had from the last 1 hour, right? Let us just say the reasons which makes Python, reasons which makes Python suddenly super popular. What are the reasons which makes Python suddenly super popular? Firstly, right? Most of the programmers or developers are attracted towards Python and migrating towards Python, and very less coding. We are going to see like very less coding in Python. First thing, not even 1/4 coding as compared with other programming. In the tomorrow session, just I will be briefing you about comparison of Python with other programming, and the simple and easy syntaxes given by Python. Simple syntaxes given by Python, right? And multi-programming features, you see, hybrid features, multi-programming features, hybrid features you are going to see. And one more feature what we see in Python, right, as compared with other programming, interactive mode. We going to see interactive mode. We can easily interact with Python statement by statement, and it gives the response for every statement, right, which you cannot see in other programming. Just in the bottom search panel, I'll type CMD, right, and just type Python here, right? Python version will be displayed. Python interpreter gets open. 3.10.5 is the Python version. can you see this 3 arrow symbol where you can type any valid Python statements and interact with Python? Just to say I'm testing Python, what is 4 plus 1? Says gives the response 5 into 9, 5 into 29, I'm saying 145, right? So X value, no need to define the data type like int, float, like that. Directly you can say X as 10, Y as 5. What is X value? It gives the response. What is Y value? It gives the response. X plus Y, if we say X minus Y, X into Y, X by Y, X into 2, X to the power symbol. This is what the power symbol in Python. Double star indicates power, single star indicates multiplication, right? X equal to hello. Any valid Python statements. X into 3 prints hello for 3 times. X into 5 prints hello for 5 times. Any valid Python statements you can type and you can interact. These things you cannot see in other programming. Statement by statement, you can get the response, right? Yes, interactive mode, we say what Python providing, and wide varieties of applications. Just now I briefed you about various applications, right? Wide varieties of applications are getting developed, right, using Python. And many built-in libraries, right? Yes, modules, we have got 89,300 modules for various domains, and it's a general purpose programming, right? Any kind of applications can be developed, and it's a high level, right? It's a high level language, like it's a human understandable. It's a platform independent. It can run on all the platforms and all the environments, right? It's not like on OS, any type of OS, and on all the hardware and all the operating systems. So these are the main reasons, right? What are the reasons? Like less coding, simple syntaxes, multi-programming, interactive mode, wide varieties, many built-in libraries, general purpose, and high level, right? So these are the features which makes Python suddenly super popular, right? So just I'll open Google and show you, right? The 1 second, I'll come back to this course content, but before that, just I'll open Google and show you the usage of Python, the scope of Python, right? Like most popular coding language, always like popular coding language. For example, if you see from last 2-3 years, top 10 programming languages, right? Python stands the number one ranked programming. You can see for a truly user friendly, easy to learn programming language, no prerequisites for it. And if you see this results for it, top 10 programming languages in 2000, right? 20, 21, 22, right? Python stands first, next stands JavaScript and Java. And if you see most popular programming used by top 25 unicorns, Python stands first, next comes Java, JavaScript. The most popular programming languages, Python's, the most usage of Python increased a lot. Python remains most popular programming language. Next comes Java, right? Popularity of programming, right? Most loved, dreaded, and wanted languages. Python first, next comes JavaScript and Java. If you talk like most popular languages, Python, next JavaScript, Java. You see the usage of Python in the industry, right? You see 31% used as it, Java 19%, C++ 9.8%, C 6%, JavaScript 6.5%, right? You see from the last 4 years, the usage of Python is dark blue color. Next, you see the increase in this Python brown color, and that ash color to the, okay, and this light. So the usage of Python is increasing year by year, right? Ranking wise, you can check rank. Number one ranked it's Python, and second next comes Java, right? I'm not saying like I'm not degrading Java, but here Java also has got its own advantages. If you compare Python and Java, like Python, okay, all this what I was saying, right? But if you see the limitation of Python also, all kind of applications you can develop using Python except one application, right? Python is very less used in mobile applications. That is one limitation. And one more, if you compare Python with Java, right? Java is faster than Python because in Python you see like right? Okay. In Java, in Python, we see interpretation line by line execution, right? So Java is faster than Python. So it's now Python is anyhow number one ranked programming because of this diversified number of applications, right? Okay. If you see ranking based on their average salaries and ranking based on job openings for Python, Python stands first in that ranking by average salary, ranking by volume of job openings. This is what I'm opened in Google and I'm showing you, right? And if you come to this, the course content and what we are going to discuss as part of our course, right? Yes. Starting from the basics, right? For scratch, ground level to the advanced level, we'll be discussing in brief. So Python basics, why Python, what is Python, history, features, advantages, versions, installations, flavors of Python, Python operations, right? It's modes of executions, editors. In real time, we use editors and IDEs, right? So what are the various IDs? I'm going to show you all the IDs, not one or two IDs, like PyCharm, Jupyter, Spider, Eclipse, NetBeans, VS Code, Atom. So like in Anaconda distributions, like so like, and even like Python data types, constants, variables, comments, input output statements, type conversions, comments, escape sequences, strings in Python, string indices, operators, various types of operators supported, IDs. Just now I was talking about IDs, right? PyCharm ID, Anaconda, Jupyter, Spider, Eclipse, right? And flow control statements, if else, elif, looping statements, while, for, range function, nested for, and strings in Python, string indexing, string slicing, string functions, string methods, string special characters, right? Collections in Python, collection data types in Python, right? Like list, tuple, sets, dictionaries, list operations, list indexing, list slicing, list functions, list methods, list addresses, list modifications, nested lists, different ways of creating lists. Similarly for tuples, indexing, slicing, their methods, their functions, tuple addresses, right? And sets, dictionaries in Python, functions in Python, right? Different types, their categories, properties of functions, types of arguments, default, non-default, keyword, non-keyword, arbitrary, and global, local, global. There's variables like recursions and types of functions like lambda functions, map function, lambda function, filter function, map function, reduce functions, and modules, modular programming. What is module? Different ways of importing, normal import, from import, renaming a module, reloading a module, how to create our own modules, user defined modules, packages, defining them, importing them, right? Errors in Python, exceptions in Python, exception handling, right? And file handling in different, reading different types of files, writing to different files, right? And object-oriented programming concepts in brief, like class, object, encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, like static, non-static variables, constructors, destructors, garbage collector. Fine, right? And even like inheritance, types of inheritance, polymorphism, method overriding, right? Abstraction, hiding data, everything in brief. Object-oriented programming. I said like I'll be discussing procedural-oriented, object-oriented, scripting, and modular as part of our course, and regular expressions for extracting data from the required data. How to extract a particular data, right? We have got many patterns for it. We'll be discussing one by one pattern in brief. Python database connections, right? PDBC, database access. I'll be showing you the installation of one database before I go, and how it can connect with the database and performing all the database related operations, and writing statements like SQL queries and the transaction management, right? And with different modules, I'm going to discuss different models related to different environments, right? Like Python database models, some models related to database, some models related to data science, some models related to big data, some models related to operating system, some models related to graphics, some models related to date and time, and how to create our own models, right? We'll be discussing. So some models like Python date and time, operating system kind of model, advanced concepts like iterator, generator, closer, decorators, web scraping, working with CSV, Excel, XML, JSON, graphic programming, TK intermodule, working with Excel workbook, reading and writing, and data analytics will be discussing like NumPy, Matplotlib, Pandas, introduction to data science, Python Pandas, in brief, Pandas series, and Python NumPy model in brief, and Matplotlib model for plottings and visualizations will be discussing in brief, right? So nearly 30 topics, 30 topics we'll be discussing in brief. So huge syllabus, right? We'll be discussing in brief. So the duration will be taking nearly 75 to 80 hours for this in brief, in depth. So like the duration, like it goes like 2.5 months, right? 2 to 2.5 months. If I get some bigger sessions, right, during Saturdays, sometimes if you're running out of time. So 2 to 2.5 months. And if anybody wants to go for web applications creations, right? So just I'll be going with Django, right? Django, if you see the syllabus for this Django, those who go for web applications creations or development. So what is Django? What are the history, features, characteristics? It's web frameworks, Django installations, Django project architecture, right? And Django applications creations, Django views, Django templates, Django admin panel, its models, advanced concepts, ORM, faker module, all this, right? Rendering, crispy forms, everything, right? We'll be discussing in brief with multiple examples, right? Nearly 20 to 25 applications creations I'll be showing you, especially for Django, right? I'll say the students to do parallelly the applications creations along with me. So first application creation completed. Next, everyone got the output. Next, we go with application 2. If any errors in the applications creations, you'll be sharing the screen, right? Share screen option available in this Zoom, right? So, and for this, those who go for this web applications, Django, right? So the offerings from my side, right? So Python, you'll see like the three things, core, Python advanced, and application oriented modules. And plus, if anybody wants to choose for this web development, Django, right? So for those people who go for Django, I'll just I'm providing like free like UI technologies, right? Yes, like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, the part of Bootstrap, right? So these things I'll be first discussing about this UI technologies before you go with Django. These are the free offerings from my side. Those who go for web development, that is Django, right? Web applications creations, and plus 20 applications creations, 20 applications creations. Okay. So the yes, one last one of real-time project will be provided at the last. So here Python, the fee structure is it's an offer batch. Just it is offered for just 5K, right? 5,000, right? And for Django, previously it was 8,000 was the fee for Django for all this, but it was offered for just 5K. It is an offer, but combined if you take as a package, it's just 9K, right? Fine. So that is what that things like Python, Django, right? UI technologies and 20 applications creations. if you see that applications creations of this previous batches, right? You see that some weekend batches, other things, the applications, Django apps creations, my project 1, my project 2, 3, 4, 5, see up to 20 to 23, and one ERM project I discussed. You see like any applications, any other, right? You can see all this Django project applications creations and the clear notes. If you see this any weekend batch or any no batch, right? So if you talk like for example, if you take any applications, right, clear notes, step 1, step 2, step 3. So here step 1 activating, step 2 starting project, step 3 creating an application, giving application urls, and see migrating, starting the server, giving the request, right? So in this way we can be seeing many applications creations. So now if you've got any queries, right, any queries related to this today's session or anything related to Python, yes. Real-time application, yes, Dilip Sharma, I'll be providing real-time application, right? Yes. Yeah, any queries you have got, so clear notes will be provided topic wise, and the everyday session, it's a video recorded sessions, right? You'll be getting the recorded videos session by session. Every day you'll be getting the recorded session, and you'll be getting the notes and assignments and tasks. Every Friday I'll be giving some kind of assignments and tasks to work with. So it's getting the output is not the criteria here. You need to write your own code, develop how to develop the code, assignments and tasks to work with, right? Any queries from your side, go ahead, right? Yeah. So and one sessions will be interactive sessions, not me speak, as it's a demo session I was speaking most of the time. But normal sessions, everything I'll be typing and showing you, right? Everything I'll type and show you, like not like bringing some that's why I'm not keeping any PPT slides for this demo, right? So everything I'll be typing and showing you, even this program code also, statement by statement I'll be typing. For every statement what I type, you will be responding with the output, what will be the expected output, right? Sessions from both the sides will be interacting. If any queries or any doubts, immediately you can unmute, you can ask. Or if you got any query while practicing at home, means during you can just a WhatsApp group will be created later from for the enrolled students, and for any errors you got, immediately you can take the snap of it and you can post in the WhatsApp group, and so anybody can respond. I'll be responding, right? So that I am discussing some models related to NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, right? Pandas is not overview, right? I'll be discussing nearly for 1 week. Pandas data frames from dictionaries, from lists, series, from CSV files, from Excel files, from JSON files, from databases, how to create Pandas series, Pandas data frames, time delta, data frames from groupings, aggregations, data frames from list functions, everything, right? Fine. So the daily, the same time, right? 6 a.m. IST timing, 6 to 7, right?
Sir, please send these video links.
So today's recorded session, you can check in your Google Drive from the email ID what you are given today, right? While joining the meeting, you have provided that mail ID, right? If you have given Gmail, then you can check in the Google Drive. You can check by afternoon, right? By 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, you will be getting the video of today's session into your Google Drive. Shared with me option, you can check. Shared with me, you'll be getting the video of today's session, right? Yes. Yeah. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow also, everyone you can attend the sessions to see more on Python, how this training goes, what are the training levels, right? Everything you can check, right? Fine. Tomorrow also same time at 6 a.m. we'll start the session more on this Python comparison with other programming languages. Now, what is what's coding wise, you can check lengthwise, complexity wise. I'll give some examples, some sample snippets of Python, how this coding of Python looks. Anybody from zero programming or non-programming, right, can see how these Python statements look, right, in the tomorrow's session, right? Fine. Okay. So if I'm done with your queries, if there are no other queries, right, then I will sign off for today. Meet you tomorrow, same time. You can follow the same link for tomorrow's session. Thank you all for your time. Thank you.